But we know this. Qumran had the same thing. Qumran had oaths also you had to take at different times.
See, now I know that you want to avoid the idea of a ritual of conversion, but whether or not we say, I think it's something that does help in this conversation.
No, I think
it's
not monolithic. My thing is that I don't think there was a monolithic.
No, there wasn't
type of conversion, because I think Qumran would have had a completely different. As a matter of fact,
I agree with you.
You would have to if you were Jew, you could grow up a Pharisee, and if you wanted to become a member of the Yachad, you would have to go through a conversion of some sort. They're not just going to accept you. Oh, okay, you were a Pharisee for 10 years. Oh, well, you're right in. No, you got to go right to the end of the line.
I agree. Totally.
So it's not necessarily conversion from Gentile to Jew. It's from Jew to specialized Jew. Yeah.
So, but would you agree? And I think that the one thing that seems to be cross-platform, even though each one of those ritual of conversions, I'm putting quote marks for anyone who's listening on the radio, that ritual of conversion from each group almost always, if not always, involved circumcision. And this is why Paul's able to use it in the way that he does. Circumcision is nothing. Uncircumcision is nothing. But what matters is keeping the commands. In other words, it doesn't matter what group you try to convert to.
Okay, so clarify, though. So I maybe I read this a little differently than you do, Caleb. But in Galatians 5, when he says, look, okay, if you start seeking to become recognized by this group that's so appealing to you, who are called, now those groups are, he says that they are called the peritome. They're called, quote, the circumcision, capital C. They're called the circumcision. And so if you start to circumcise or peritomize, as I call it, you start to adopt, you want to do whatever you can to please those people. And I think Paul's using a little bit of parody or satire here because of the way it says it in the Greek. He says that, so that's verse 2. Messiah is no benefit to you. If I'm driven by fear of man, and all I want to do is be acceptable by this group over here with their little Torah rules, then
this ties in a little bit to this is like a one view of the new perspective on Paul, right? In other words, it's almost like a salvation by bloodline. In other words, if I become part of if I become Jewish, or if I become part of this group through circumcision, through the ritual of becoming part of the group, then I'm in, and that's my salvation. And Paul's saying,
what we don't know, Paul doesn't. We don't know that their motive had the word salvation, had the concept of salvation. We do know that their motive had the idea, they had a definition of dikaiosune, or what's called righteousness, and they were identifying righteousness as acceptability in that group, in that circle.
Right. So if you're part of our group,
Paul
you're righteous.
Says what the righteous that matters is whether God reckons you as righteous or not. That's what matters, is God's estimation of you, not of that group, this or that social club's estimation of you.
Don't miss any clips from Messiah Matters by clicking the subscribe button. Also, give this video a thumbs up and share it so other people can see it too.